Hello, my name is Maria Kelebeev, and I'm a local artist that works out of Innisfil and Barrie. And today I wanted to share with you a start of a series where I take you step by step in my process of drawing beloved characters. And who better to start off with than the beloved Dorthy and Toto? So, this is the reference image that I will be using today. While it's black and white, our drawing will be very colorful. And just take you through materials quickly. I'm using little canvas boards. It's 5x6. It's a little painting. I will be using a watercolor set. And actually, for simplicity's sake, it's a small brush that is angled, so I could use it for details or flat surfaces. The way that I approach these drawings is I try to forget who the subject matter is and break down whatever image that I'm looking at, whether from life or from a picture, is I break it down to light and dark shapes. So when we look at Dorthy, it may be overwhelming and complicated, but essentially I'm first going to block out the dark shapes, if you squint, of her hair, the dark shapes that are within Toto in his ear, and the dark shape that goes in here. Also, I will plot the direction and location of the dark shapes of her eyes, the shadow underneath the nose, and the tiny shadows in the corners of the mouth, as well as these dark patterns. So what I do is I find my little canvas and I look at my reference image and I begin to plot them out. So first I will look at the big shapes and then inside the big shapes find the small shapes, and that way everything will stay relatively proportional. If I work from the eye out, I'm more likely to lose my sense of scale. If I work from big block and in, then I have a better chance to get the likeness, the proportion, and the scale. So without further ado, I will show you what the very first. Also, I want to look at the direction. You will see my initial sketch of when I started will look very abstract and very nonsensical, but this is where I start. In the realist world of drawing, this is what we refer to as a construct. So again, a few, not even a minute, but as you can see, we have the location of where her head is. We have the direction of her head, where Toto is, how proportional, how big is Toto compared to Dorothy, and we have a glimpse of something looking back at us. So from here, I can go back and compare if I was right about how big Toto was and how big Dorothy is without going into much more detail. The next stage would be analyzing more of where the elements are, so that when paint is applied, I'm not thinking about where things should be. I'm just enjoying the coloring aspect of it. So the hardest part in all of the drawing and the painting is coming to a conclusion about where all the shapes are. So just like in cooking, by the time that you read all the instructions and get all the materials and do all the prep, that takes a majority of time. The actual baking, cooking, heat application doesn't take as much time and energy. So the next stage of that drawing is with slightly more articulated elements. And I will also do the fast motion picture. So here we have a little bit more information. We have shadows of Toto's nose, eyes, and you could see that I still need time to articulate, but I'm not drawing eyeballs, and I'm not drawing lips, and I'm not drawing hair. What I am drawing are abstract shapes. So essentially, I want to pretend that I don't know what it is, and I just want to recognize what shape it is. So if I look at my reference photo and either shake it a lot or blur my eyes, I just see a triangle here. I see a rectangle here. I just see a thin line here. And that's all that I'm doing. I'm just putting these shapes in place. So once I have them more or less in place, in order to see again if I got them right or wrong, I will probably use either charcoal or pencil, depending on what is around or what my mood is, and actually color in the dark areas to see if they do give me that big picture, because it is those shapes that actually will dictate my likeness. Nothing else. Not knowledge of Dorothy, not knowledge of Toto. It's not a dog, it's a collection. It's not a girl, it's a collection of shapes and shadows. So here, I can see from this one that I still need to tweak a little bit more. But it's getting there, and I do see her smiling back at me. I will play a fast motion image of the coloring process so you can see how it works. But again, once the elements are in place and once you're happy with the harmony that it's playing on the canvas, then the painting process starts. And the way to do that is again to start with the darks. The darks will dictate shape and likeness and light and shadow. And if you start with something fairly light in the darks, I'm using a little bit of an orange brownish color, even though Dorothy's and Toto's, the darks could be really dark. I'm not going to go yet with the very, very dark color, so I still have some leeway. And I'm going to pay attention to the shadow under her chin because it tells me a story. I'm going to look at her locks because it tells me a story. And flatly color in the darks and the lights. Once they are in place, it's a little bit more fun and a little bit more of the creative part. I will play around with more, and eventually this will be my Dorothy and Toto. So I know that I skipped a step for demonstration purposes, but I will add the snippet of how we got here because it does take longer than 5 minutes and our video is short. But essentially what I wanted to convey in this tutorial is that when you are approaching any subject matter, what helps is to eliminate the knowledge of what it is that you're drawing, whether it's me, whether it's a landscape, whether it's a teapot. Forget the subject matter, squint your eyes, focus on what's in the shadow, what dictates the shape around, and start there. Chances are, if you capture the spatial relationship between the lights and the darks, half of your battles are won, and you have the likeness, and then the rest is just fun because you get to play with color, play with style, and have a keepsake that smiles back at you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I do hope to do more of these of beloved characters. Once again, I'm Maria Kelebeev from HannaTess ArtHaus, and I wish you all happy drawing.